Okay, we're back.
Oh, thank goodness. We are back. Hello, we need a cool name for us other than Some Nobodies. That is like also like our listeners as well.
What didn't we have something
Snoops? Yeah,
snoops.
Yeah.
I like
Hey, what's up?
snoops.
All right.
What up,
What's
Snoop?
up, fellow Snoops out there? We are Some Nobodies, and we are content creators. We're ground shakers. We're record breakers, if anything else.
We're life takers. We're spirit breakers. Oh wait.
Okay, Colby's not on. Colby's not on this episode. So.
Sorry, that was a little dark.
Yeah, you're getting way too crazy there. Anyway, like I said, we are Some Nobodies, and we make up a bunch of weird stuff. We make up content. We make up stories, podcasts. You might know us from one of our award-winning podcasts called Silicon Angels. You might know us from one of Dylan's masterworks, Create Your Own Podventure. Or you might know us from Talking Upstream, which is a show where we interview other creators. We interview people that make movies, that write movies, write TV shows, write other podcasts, write board games, create foam edibles that can be worn, not eaten.
No,
you could eat them. Then. I mean, you definitely can, yeah.
Yeah.
And then we talk to them about what their process is, why they do what they do. And then we share with them how we do what we do. And then we pitch them an idea. And then together we make something. Cool news is we have season 2 officially starting this week. So Sunday, you'll see the the newest episode of Talking Upstream. And we interview a very cool person who I'm trying very hard to make them my friend. But we interview and chat with Tyler King, who is the creator of cool movies you can find on Amazon, such as like Super Hot and a bunch of actually just look about you can find some cool stuff. Also watch the show, find out from us. Them. Okay, so what we do on our show, like I said, we make up weird stuff and then we do stuff with them. What we wanted to do was keep breaking it down and keep working with people, and we like working with anyone really. So we decided to make a new show. We put it on Facebook Live, we put it on Twitch, we put it on other things so that we can interact with people live and then make up stories with you because you're cooler than we are and you can make up funnier stuff than we do. And if you like it, hopefully you'll watch it or listen to it. So yeah. So if you were watching the last couple of weeks, we had our friend Michael Colby on. He was on an episode of Talking Upstream, and we made a really cool concept that we pretty much finished last week. Enough where I think that we should move on and work on something cool. Also, Colby isn't here, so whatever, who cares?
No,
so we're gonna work on
just the OG2.
Yeah.
Whatever the Nobodies, OG Nobodies, I guess.
Yeah, we're the original Nobodies, the OGNs.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, so but what we do before people show up into the chats and whatever, I always have some weird bit of like nerd news that I want to throw at Dylan and just get his very nonchalant answers to them, or just
yes, cool as a cucumber frightening a cat away from its food bowl.
That is very true. All right, so usually it's like a bunch of just nerd stuff. It just makes me go, huh, I didn't know that. That's pretty interesting. And one thing I actually told you yesterday, and I really should have waited till today, but the big sweeping thing about video games being adapted into movies, you can see that in what was it, the new Tom Holland John
Uncharted. I saw Uncharted.
Yeah, you saw Uncharted. I have not seen Uncharted. Now, from an aspect of taking a video game, which the whole concept of a video game is putting a player inside of somebody else that you can control, things you normally can't do in real life, and then solving puzzles. Now, if you take the dynamic of that and put it into a movie, how do you feel the translation usually turns out?
Poorly. I think
Yeah.
the best video game movies that I've ever made are not adaptations.
Yeah.
Hardcore Henry and Scott Pilgrim versus the World are the best video game movies that have been made.
Yeah, I
For
agree.
different reasons, but those are the two that I would point to as the best video game movies. Not adaptations, except Scott Pilgrim is an adaptation of a graphic novel. But
Right.
yeah, no. Those are, like, as far as making a video game movie, those two kind of strike me as the best ones.
Yeah, and it's crazy because, like I said, the appeal of video games is not to watch it, but to play it, to interact it. So to take that and then to make a movie out of it just seems like you're automatically detaching the audience from something.
Mhm.
But, with the recent rise of, Sonic doing very well, actually Sonic 3 just got greenlit, as well as a Knuckles spin-off series got greenlit. So, I mean, they're really pushing because you don't need an origin anymore, like it just people know it, so you could just go with it, and you're just taking the cutscenes. But a couple video games that are being turned into movies kind of caught my eye recently, and I wanted to chat with you about it because I think you know a couple of these.
Sure.
Number one, I saw recently that Walter Goggins was cast in a Fallout series that's being done by Amazon. Now we spoke, and I'm more familiar with Fallout 4, and you're familiar with Fallout 3 a little more. But I quickly made a list of what I think are the coolest ghouls that are in Fallout, and then I Googled what are the coolest ghouls of Fallout, and my list and this list are actually very similar. Oh, only because it's mostly Fallout 4 characters who I know. But if you had to put together a character for Walter Goggins to play, and the show is called Fallout, do you think that they're going to use a specific game or give us a new city? My first question.
I am personally hoping that it's going to be an adaptation of New Vegas.
Okay.
It's a Western, it's post-apocalyptic. You have the debauchery of post-apocalyptic Vegas. In my mind, it's the best of the Fallout games of the few I've played. I think it's going to synthesize a lot of Fallout aesthetic into a generally kind of standard wasteland wandering storyline.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if the main character is a detached older male who stumbles across a young abandoned child or younger character, and the two of them lone wolf and cub their way across the wasteland.
So you think that this is going to be a show set in the Fallout universe following a ghoul?
Potentially. Or Walter Goggins' ghoul is going to be some other major secondary character.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I think that's interesting. If you followed a Fallout series with behind a ghoul, that'd be cool. What a cool ghoul. But, of the ones that I know of, I think the ones that I would like to see Walter Goggins play, in Fallout 4, there's a character called Kent Connolly. And I don't know if you know this character well at all, but he's a major part of the Silver Shroud storyline quest. And so he's a player that he's like the radio show operator, and you can listen to him as you walk around Good Neighbor, which is a pretty interesting ghoul ran territory in Fallout 4. The cool thing about Kent is that he's actually kind of a shy character. However, he has to muster himself up to be brave, and then like he gives you one of the best quests, I think, which is to pretend to be the Silver Shroud, which is a knockoff of like a 50s style radio like shadow character.
All right.
There's also a character in Fallout 4 called Oswald the Outrageous, and he is in the expansion of the Nuka World, the DLC. But Oswald the Outrageous is he is a ghoul that once he became sentient, he was actually a magician in a Disney World style amusement park called Nuka World in Fallout. And he was a magician in that place. When he became a ghoul, he was so radioactive, he was just full of radiation that the ghouls would just keep coming back to life whenever he walked around, which made him think that he was actually a magician, which I thought was very, very cool. One of my favorite ghouls is the Vault Tech rep, who is in also Fallout 4. Now, when you start Fallout 4, the storyline you're getting is that you are before the fall. You're before the fallout. You're buying a vault, and then this guy comes and sells you the vault, and then he leads you into the vault where you get frozen, then your son gets taken.
Okay.
Now, as you're playing the game, you actually come across the same salesman that has been turned into a ghoul, and he remembers you. And he is really upset that he wasn't given a vault, even though he did so much work. And then when you find out the atrocities of what was actually happening in Vault Tech, he was actually pretty upset.
Okay.
But I think the character that I think he will play, if a character from the not an original character, I mean, would be Hancock. Now, Hancock is a character he's the mayor of Diamond City, and that's one of the cool little regions in Fallout 4. And he is given the name John Henry Hancock. He is like a super patriot. He wears like a tri-corner hat and like
Cool.
a red kind of British like trench coat. And he is just like, he wants to be the mayor of Boston. He believes everything about that, like the Confederacy, everything is like, or not the Confederacy. No, not the Confederacy.
Yeah.
I was saying the north side of that. Obviously, it's Boston.
Yes. The Union.
Yeah. And he's just wholeheartedly just a good person. And I think Walter Goggins kind of gets typecast as a bad character more often than not. But when he is good, I think he's very, very good.
He does play scumbags a lot. I think I'd be cool. There was a ghoul companion you could get in New Vegas. I don't remember his name. It was like I don't remember, but you found him, I think, in like a test site prison or something, and you free him and he hangs out with you a bunch. And I wouldn't be surprised if he plays that kind of character, kind of like the secondary, ghoul companion. Because there's Fallout, you always have your companion characters, the ones that hang out with you, your little follower band. And I wouldn't be surprised. Walter, he doesn't get the lead very often. I can't think of any time that I've seen Walter Goggins play the lead.
Mm-hmm.
So I imagine he'd probably be playing another kind of like side character because he's a very good character actor.
Yeah. I mean, he's shown up in a lot of major things, so I would like to see him get the lead, but he isn't lead worthy unless the lead is a ghoul. Then you might as well get an amazing character actor for that.
Yeah.
Which I'm interested in. Okay, something else that I saw that I think you play is that they are finally green lighting the BioShock series. It's on gonna be on Netflix. And have you played BioShock?
I played the first one way after it came out, and I played Infinite during the hype. I haven't played the second one. Now I've played none of the DLCs for any of them.
How do you think now the original? So this has been in development for like 10 years. They've been trying to make this since the original one came out. And Gore Verbinski, the original director of the Pirates of the Caribbean, was the original director of BioShock. And then everything else kind of messed up and whatever. But I think because of how well The Witcher did on Netflix, they're going to push more video game stuff. And how do you think a show about BioShock can work? Because I guess that would really lead to just the visuals, right? Because that's mostly what that game is.
The big thing that made the first BioShock so good, and I think spoilers are appropriate after it's been so long, is that they work. It's hard. I don't know how to describe it. It's an analysis of how video games push you forward along a certain path, where eventually it's revealed that anytime the bad guy says, "Would you kindly do this?" your character is compelled to do that, which justifies your hyper-violent run through Rapture until that point.
Yeah.
And I don't know how they're going to recreate that experience in a TV show, because it does something that not a lot of video games do, where it involves the player in the morality of the actions they've taken to that point when they were assuming they were just playing a video game. Because a video game, when it's a shooter, you see someone run, you see a glowing thing on the wall, you go towards it. Door opens, you go through that door. Someone looks at you, they run towards you, you shoot them, stuff like that. And BioShock calls that progress or that order of actions into question as far as the morality of undertaking it goes, which is really heavy for a video game, and I think very difficult to do without the first-hand involvement that a TV show won't have.
Mhm. No, I agree. And the thing about video games is that it's, you know, a lot of it is like the character learning how the game works, the character finding things and being creeped out and, you know, taking their time and going at their pace and learning as you go. And in BioShock, it's, you know, like you have the setting, then you have the basic story, and then it's learning all these tools, but then designing the character the way that you want to play this game. So to kind of negate all of that is going to be kind of weird. I'm not sure if it's going to work. And I think that they would just start making original content, which is why this show is so important, because what we're doing is just making original content nonstop.
I do want to say they need to involve the bee plasmid, the swarm of bees. If that's
Yeah.
portrayed on screen, I'm happy with it.
Yeah.
I love someone getting swarmed by bees. I don't know why.
That is true. You do,
Yeah.
you do text me all the time. Like, I wish
do.
more people got bee swarmed. And I'm like, oh man, you're the only one who uses that phrase, but I'm
Yeah.
glad.
I'm coining it, bringing it back.
That's cool. Now, next, I want to chat with you quickly about some Star Wars stuff. I know that you're not super into all of the side projects that's going on.
Depends.
Yeah, but one of the next one that we're talking about is Kenobi, and that's going to come out March 25th, which is officially Star Wars Day, not May the 4th. And May the 4th is like Star Wars Day for noobs, but May the 25th is actual Star Wars Day because that's when the
May
original
or March?
May.
Okay.
May 25th is 1977 was when the original Star Wars was
Gotcha.
released. So May 25th is like the big deal. Now that they're going to really do this show, I'm curious what you think. Now this is after Luke gets dropped off in Tatooine, right? And we kind of know the ending of Kenobi's story. What would you like to see in this show?
I have not watched any of the TV shows except Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett. So I don't know Rebels, I don't know Clone Wars, I don't know Bad Batch. But I was under the impression that a lot of Obi-Wan's interlude between the third and fourth movie had been covered. A lot of it was focused on Darth Maul, which props to Dave Filoni for realizing that Darth Maul was a great nemesis for Obi-Wan and bringing him back. It's a decision that I fully support as a good, not retcon, but a good kind of like redo of the movies where where Obi-Wan didn't have a nemesis, really. And Darth Maul is a good nemesis. And I've watched that final duel between the two of them. I'm like, cool. That's how I want lightsaber duels to be done.
Yeah.
Emotionally charged, quick, because the minute you mess up, you're dead. Yeah. And then you have that moment at the end where it's like, did we have to do this? Well, no, but you felt like you had. There's the emotional catharsis of it being the release of tension in the. There's a lot of stuff you can read into lightsaber fights beyond just swinging bright swords at each other that cut off limbs.
Yeah.
I want him to not be on Tatooine. I don't want him to be. I know he's going to be on Tatooine. I don't want him to be there. You have an entire galaxy of really cool planets, really interesting vistas. You have this soundstage technology where you have a rear screen projector at a massive resolution, which has camera tracking and focal changes, and it's a really impressive piece. And so far, in a lot of The Mandalorian and almost the entirety of Book of Boba Fett, you use it almost exclusively to show Tatooine.
Yeah.
The best parts of Boba Fett were when The Mandalorian is on the ring world. And you have this really impressive set. And you have a really cool looking locale.
It is the first time you really get to see what the volume can do. And the volume that's what that room's called, the volume.
Okay.
But yeah, him getting on that elevator and really, really cool. I think
they're
speaking of Boba
using
Fett,
it to do sand.
Yeah, this brown, a lot of browns.
Yeah, a lot of tan.
I think the problem with Boba Fett, and I've heard this critique somewhere else, but the problem with Boba Fett is that what we think of as Boba Fett is the Mandalorian.
Yep.
You know, it's like what we want Boba Fett to be, they have portrayed the Mandalorian. So when Boba Fett came on, you're like, I don't really care anymore about this dude because I got my Boba Fett over there. I like him better.
Boba Fett, the more you know about him, the less interesting he becomes, and that's a huge problem.
Yeah, really upsetting. But the cool thing is that John Williams is doing the theme for Kenobi, so it's going to have that original Star Wars feel again. So
Good.
I'm gonna like
he's never gonna. Didn't he retire allegedly?
Yep.
Yeah, he's never gonna stop making Star Wars music. I think he enjoys it too much.
Yeah.
I think he has too much fun, and I get it.
All right, the last bit of news that I'm going to chat about so we can get on to creation, and you brought this up to me, which made me do a little bit of research. There is a toy leak, and I love toy leaks because they really kind of let people know, like, hey, here's what's coming. But the weird thing is whenever like Legos do toy leaks, it's just like a Lego minifig, and it's like you don't really get a lot out of that. Now, you told me that there was a toy leak. Now, spoilers for Thor 4 visuals. There was a toy leak kind of for Legos with Thor. So I'm going to show that right now. And this is the picture that they showed. Now, if you look at the very bottom of this, you'll see that's where Gore is with his necro sword. And I like that they have, tooth biter and teeth gnasher. I forget what the two goats are called. Yeah. And that's cool. And if you don't know what Gore looks like in the comics, this is actually what he looks like, and he's pretty badass. And once again, if you look at that black sword that is in the comics, the necro sword. Now, while I was doing research for this Lego toy leak, I found out that they confirmed that Christian Bale's character Gore will be using the necro sword, which is the same symbiote as Venom. And in the comics, the necro sword is actually made by a character called Null, and Null created the symbiote. And technically, the sword is symbiote itself. And when Gore gets the sword, and when Gore is going to get the sword in Thor 4,
Thor 4 Gore's sword.
Yeah, hopefully Korg is going to be in Thor 4 with Gore's sword as well. So Gore has in the comics, his whole storyline is that he's so upset that he prays constantly for his family to just be well, and when his family is slaughtered, he blames gods for it. So he goes on this mission to destroy all gods, which is fine. And then Dylan brought up a very good point last week, was that it seems like the MCU is building up a lot of gods to possibly be taken down by Gore, which I think is very fascinating. So I'm interested. So. Yeah, I'm interested in what they're going to do with that little scrap of symbiote that they left at the end of the Spider-Man, and how that's going to turn Gore into a necromancing sword wielding, God hating, everyday man. Anyway, okay, so that's it.
I had no idea that there was parasite or symbiote on the sword.
Oh, yeah, the sword is symbiote, which is very cool.
Yeah, okay.
Because it was the original, like I said, it was Null's sword, and Null was the original creator of
I didn't even know. I thought the symbiotes came from like a machine on Secret War or something like that, or whatever it's called.
No, I'll give you that comic. I'll give you that comic, and you can check it out. Yeah, you'll really like it. It's really dark, which is cool. If you care about any of that stuff, throw it in the chat, throw it in the comments. Let me know how you think about the MCU or video game adaptations. I would like that. Now we're going to get into what we do here. I'm going to let Dylan explain the concept we're going to work on, the show you can find it on, and what we're going to try to get done with the rest of this episode.
Yeah, so usually what we do on Twitching UpStream is we expand on an idea we previously developed on Talking Upstream. Okay, cool. Okay, I'm fine. So
just want to know how you feel. Yeah. I'm just kidding.
Are we fighting on the air now?
No, I had to wipe my mic off. I didn't want to do it.
Cool. So yeah, anyway, on episode 24 of Talking Upstream, where I think we wound up doing this by ourselves. I think our original guest couldn't make it.
We had the amazing guest that created Silicon Angels on that episode. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. So, my memory ain't what it used to be. Episode 24 of Talking Upstream, we had the idea of this was a text message idea Zach sent me originally, which was, what if there was a national treasure, like, clue chain, like a chain of clues that some adventurer is following, and then some random person stumbles onto the clue trail in the middle of it and disrupts the entire thing.
Yeah.
And we wound up kind of making this idea of two aging treasure hunters getting interrupted in their like rivalry by Connor the geocache bro.
Yep.
Real light idea. Go ahead, Zach.
Yeah, I like this a lot. I got into a stint. If you guys don't know, I'm from Delaware, and I worked at a brewery, and I was in charge of what we watched and everything. And I got into this weird habit of just playing National Treasure over and over and over again, really just to
It's a
make some
crowd
people.
pleaser.
It's fine. The second one, not so much, but the first one definitely is interesting. And I'll tell you, the reason that movie works is Nicolas Cage only. If you think about that as anybody else, I don't think it would have worked. It'd have been too cheesy or something. But anyway, also at the time in Delaware, there's not a whole lot to do. So I really fell into geocaching. And I thought that was an interesting thing that people would just kind of have like an adult hide and seek for no reason whatsoever. And if you don't know what geocaching is, if you just, you can actually just look it up, but there's apps that tell you where people hide stuff, and they might give you a little clue. They might tell you how far away you are from it, and you just got to find it. If you find it, there's usually like a little treasure inside of it, or you just sign your name to something like, I found it, you jerk. So I really was interested in the idea of geocaching. Once I started watching National Treasure, the idea came, I was like, what if while I was geocaching, I accidentally found a clue while Nicolas Cage was on National Treasure, which is really just the whole idea of this. So yeah, I think this is a really funny concept. And obviously I don't know if it can be a full-on feature film, depending, but I like the idea of it a lot. So yeah. And how, what do you think this would be the best way to give this to people?
It's hard to say until we get into it.
Sure.
I think we had originally planned on it being a movie, but it's also not a very fleshed out outline, which is why we're here today.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yep,
I'm gonna throw up the screen share and we'll go through the original synopsis. All right, cool. Streaming comedy. You'll love to see it. We haven't lost our one viewer yet, so that's fine. Hi. Yep. I see you.
Hi. It's me.
Oh, I see you too, Zach. Hi. Anyway, I don't know who that person is, but they're watching on Twitch. Good for you.
Yeah.
So the original idea we had, we called it Relics because the idea was that the two main treasure hunters were aging out of it. And this kid kind of like, I don't know, reinvigorated their love of the actual preservation as opposed to just the chase. But their names were Pat and Cage. He's an aggressive museum acquisitions agent. And we named him that because he was Patton Oswald. And Dirk Romulus is a black market relic hunter. And I think we had someone rugged as Dirk Romulus. I don't remember who it was.
Yeah, I can't remember.
But then there's a third hunter who's kind of following them along, and they're the business professional, the older guy who like sets everything right and just kind of pops in when we needed someone to Deus Ex Machina things back on track. Connor is a geocache bro. He works at an airboat touring business in, I think, Florida. And Jasmine works with Connor and is fed up with his nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
The general progression, because we wanted this to be a globe trot, was we start in the Philippines, go to Stonehenge, go to Easter Island, go to Florida, and then we go to South America for the Mayan calendar.
Yeah.
Somewhere in South America, because we didn't do our research because we were just throwing it off the top of our heads. Probably somewhere in Peru? I don't know. We'll do our research and we'll get things right. I don't know. I think there was a question mark in there. Anyway,
I like Peru.
I like Peru too.
All right. It's settled. Collectively, we like Peru.
2 out of 2 snoofs say Peru's the place to be. So we had originally decided this to be a 2-act story because we were being a little experimental. The first act, Patton and Dirk, or we might just... No, we did finish it. Okay. I was wondering if we just didn't get to the end because we had a good conversation, but we didn't have a guest, and you know that we don't know how to talk to each other. Oh, okay. Anyway, bit's over. Act 1. We Patton and Dirk, they show up in the Philippines, they wreck some stuff. One of them gets the cross, which I think was a reference to like a piece of the true cross. For some reason. I think that was like their cold open where it's like, we're both on the hunt for the piece of the true cross. This is our This is the tail end of our last act against each other. Things are conflict heavy. They don't get along very well, and one of them gets it.
Yeah.
Go to Stonehenge. There's a secret chamber there. We learn that they are amicable enemies. We go to Easter Island. They find a piece of Ponce de Leon's boat.
Oh, cool.
Something. They're getting tired. We meet Connor. He's out driving his fan boat around looking for geocaching, and he finds the Fountain of Youth. We had determined that it was like a relic. It was like an abandoned site or like a ruin or something.
Yeah.
The two hunters go to Florida and they find the Fountain of Youth, but there was something about evaporated salt in the bottom of the fountain. We might need to go back and rewatch this episode because our outline is lacking in some details.
You should have done your research for this.
I refuse.
Right,
during Act 2, I think this is where the story actually gets up to start. Connor's at work. He shows off the salt jar to Jasmine. She's kind of fed up. Patton and Dirk show up. Connor leaves. Patton and Dirk rent Jasmine's boat because she is a consummate salesperson. Connor goes back to his apartment. At the fountain, they find Connor's little like alligator token because he's got a little like pin that he wears. It's an alligator thing. Jasmine tells him who he is, where he lives, whatever. They find his information from the employee info booklet. Connor comes home while they're ransacking his apartment. They try and pressure him into giving over the clue. He sells them some other trinkets. They take him with them. Jasmine takes the salt and hides it, and then the third hunter finds her. There's this fan boat chase, and then they go to. I never know how to pronounce this. Chichen Itza?
Okay.
It's the square pyramid. It's that big famous square pyramid in Central America.
Love that.
The fake trinkets don't work. Third hunter shows up and has the salt. It all works. Empty chamber. Someone actually beat them to the end and did it to steal the win from their sales because he's an asshole. Patton takes the trinkets and puts them in a museum. And that was the end of our outline. So we have our work cut out for us.
Yeah, cool. I'm not sure exactly why we decided to do the 2-act structure. Now, how do you feel the 2-act structure works in a feature-length film? And then should we just try to break this into 3 acts so that it's easier to manage?
We might as well break it into 3 acts. I think the 2-act structure is good for when a movie takes a sudden and shocking shift in tone or focus in the middle of a movie.
Now, we could do that with this. I mean, because at some point we're going to have, I think what we were going with in the beginning was having like a high intensity chase action sequence. And then at some part, it has to get down to almost a rom-com with like a doofy fan boat operator. But I guess it could be I think it was tonal shifts. I think that was like what we were trying to do. But it could just be like a weird, second act tonal shift and then come back around to the third act. So I guess we'll just try to figure it out.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. So we start off with Patton Cage and Dirk Romulus.
Yes.
Now, there is a third hunter that we don't really know about. They probably have a cool nickname like an animal, right? Like it's like the Dark Hawk or something, or not dark. Like the silver hawk or something. You know what I mean? Like they always have like a cool whatever name.
Three syllables. Something Van something. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
1 syllable Van something. Nick Van Cage.
Well, not that.
No?
Okay. No, that doesn't really work here. How about Willem? No, that's John. No, who cares? He's a dark character, and name's Jack. I love it.
Jack Van
Damn. Black.
Jack Van. I was gonna say Jack Van Dam, but Van Zam is already the Matthew McConaughey's character in Reign of Fire.
Oh yeah.
Great movie, but we're not aping it right now.
Gray movie.
Jack Van Gray.
Whatever.
Sure.
He's down an ancient line of old relic finders from Western Europe.
My grandfather was a treasure hunter, and his grandfather was a treasure hunter, and in between they do some sort of business thing to fund our adventures.
Yeah, I love that. And so we don't really meet Connor yet, correct?
We had this we
Or
had this
how do
idea.
we we got to weave it somehow, right?
We had this idea where most of the first movie is setting up the treasure hunt, and then we do that weird like the game's afoot, music swells, cut to Connor working at the airboat tours. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm cool with that. And I guess maybe we could even try to make it seem like either Connor or Jasmine is related to one of these other characters. You know, when that phone call
Oh yeah.
mishandling situation, we're like, wait, are they actually? Because that way you don't really know like what's going on. Maybe like
Connor Van Gray.
yeah, or like Dirk calls someone, it's like, we're on our way, hangs up the phone, hard cut to Connor. And it's like, I guess there's somebody, who knows.
Jasmine, did we have a reservation? Someone said they're on their way. Yeah.
Like, what's it under? Van Gray. Van Gray. That's my maiden name. So, but the majority of the first act is the adventurous kind of romp to get the first thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. And the first thing that we had was the Philippines. Now, what do you think they'll be looking for in the Philippines?
I
Now,
think
the
it was
Philippines has 1,700 some islands, and it's a pretty big place. So,
yes.
what do we?
I mean,
What?
the idea we have here is one of them gets the cross. Now, here's the thing. The Uncharted movie just came out, as we said earlier.
Yeah.
And the main drive of the Uncharted movie is that they're trying to get Magellan's treasure. And the way they do that is by using 2 jeweled crosses.
Did they steal our idea?
I don't know. I haven't played Uncharted.
Me neither. Okay,
Who
so
who wrote that movie?
I don't know. Uncharted? I don't have no idea. Okay, so let's change the cross to something that has like a little bit cooler of a feel to it. And I don't really think that it should be religious in nature. So
Okay.
let's say that it's like maybe it's like a skull to like a missing link skull, or like a skull of like a new species.
Or like an emperor's, like Alexander the Great's skull or something.
Yeah.
I don't
Or
know.
like maybe
Well,
his
I'm gonna
gold,
make sure
like,
that's not a real thing.
what about his golden dentures? The golden dentures of Sir Galahad that was lost in the Philippines.
Ooh. So the location of the tomb of Alexander the Great is an enduring mystery.
We found it.
Following his death in Babylon, it was initially buried in Memphis, Tennessee, I would imagine.
I doubt
it. You never know. He was pretty great. He could have gotten across the sea.
I don't think Memphis was a.
I mean, well, and then it says the Wikipedia says he was transferred to Alexandria, which is in Virginia. So I mean, he was here in America.
Okay, that's fair.
Where he was reburied. But then, like, a bunch of people visited in Alexandria, Virginia. But it has been potentially destroyed.
Well, guess what? It was found in the Philippines. So, wait, what was it? A tomb?
Yeah, it's his burial place.
Oh.
There have been.
Just take that. Was he have a sword in there or something?
Could be a sword. It could just be that they moved his corpse around and they moved it somewhere. Yeah, as of 2021, Egyptian officials claimed they had found it in Siwa Oasis, an urban area near the Libyan border with Egypt.
Far from Virginia. But let's just say that we found out. Yeah. We found it, and it's gonna be in the Philippines. And we're looking for Alexander the Great's skull or jaw.
Yeah.
He had a good jawline.
For some reason, they think Alexander the Great's remains wound up in the Philippines.
Yeah. It was being transported, and then the ship was sunk. That makes sense. So we're looking for the remains of Alexander the Great, and I guess one of the main characters has to kind of, it just starts close to where the remains are, right? And the character's like, "Oh, we finally found it," and they're all dirty and sweaty, and they get there.
I have an idea for the end of the movie.
The end? I'm in. Give it to me.
They spend the movie looking for Alexander the Great's remains, and at the end they're like, "Well, it says he was originally buried in Memphis and moved to Alexandria in wait a minute, Alexandria, Virginia, and then it's been carried over, and they're like, oh, well, that was simple.
Yeah. Like they they have a map of the world up, and they like point to all these places, and then somebody's like, but we didn't look at the US. And all the places have the same name. Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine. With that. Alexander the Great was in Memphis, Tennessee for a while. He's a fan of Creole food, and
Yeah.
you can't find that in Memphis, but you can
You
get
think
a
it's
good barbecue.
you think it's funnier that he's in Memphis, Tennessee, or Alexandria, Virginia?
I guess Alexandria, Virginia, because there is more of a joke linkage to that.
Yeah.
They might not understand Memphis is a real place somewhere else. So I
I
like
think
that.
treasure hunters probably know, but that's okay.
No, treasure hunters, but not a normal audience
Okay, I got you.
of a comedy, of a
Plus,
rom
the
com.
legend is that his remains were moved to Alexandria in the ancient world. So
Yeah.
this scans with them being like, wait a minute, these clues are for the ancient world. We're living in the modern world, or something like that. It's like, what if we've been following the clues, but we've been following them wrong? Well, what? We can justify this so that it's
No,
very funny.
No,
And it makes
I'm
sense
with it
in the
100%.
logic of the story. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So I'm going to assume that the way so knowing that ending, I'm going to assume now, excuse me, that the corpse that the first person finds, which I'm assuming is Dirk, because we want to be behind Patton.
Yes.
So let's say Dirk gets to the Philippines, finds this corpse, takes it. Just as Patton gets there, and he sees like the joke that Dirk left there, like a stuffed animal head. It's like, ha ha ha, you're too late once again. So we just assume that Dirk has the real skull, but obviously we're gonna find out that the real skull was in Virginia the whole time.
Yeah.
Now, what had happened was maybe the dark third figure is the one that brought it to Alexandria to begin with, and they're just following to see. I don't know. We'll figure that out soon.
We did have an idea that the third person, the third hunter, had already beaten them to it, and then kind of like mocked them and put them through all of it just to mock them at the end.
Yeah,
I'm cool with.
I'm cool with that. Yeah, and I think that it might be funny if, as maybe the two fighting archaeologist people kind of team up at the end to figure it out, and then Connor's like, well, Alexandria's in Virginia, and they're like, listen, you idiot, like that's not. He's like, no, I've been there. I was there on 2 spring breaks. It's a fine place. And they're like, well, we got. So I like the idea of maybe Connor figuring out accidentally, and then there's like that weird fight at the end with the mysterious person because they're not supposed to figure it out. So we leave the Philippines thinking that Dirk has the skull that Patton's looking for. We also see the shadowy figure that had originally taken the corpse and blah, blah, blah. So we don't know about that. We'll get to that later. And this is still in Act 1, right? So we got to get to something else. So then in Act 1, we need to have some kind of argument between those two people to establish what their relationship is, right? So we have to maybe have, I know it's one of those cliche things, but what do you think about having them kind of meet up at like the black market dealer or whatever?
I was just thinking we kind of indulge it, and we're like, this is the bar where all of the treasure hunters of the world hang out in the underground. Yeah.
Yeah. So because maybe Patton's like, well, there's only one place that he could, get that off his hands that fast. And as they go there, they cross paths, and Dirk is like, it wasn't real. And Patton's like, come on. That's the oldest trick in the book. I know we're in Memphis, but Elvis is dead. Is there like an Elvis joke always like, look, it's Elvis? Whatever. It doesn't matter.
Listen, everybody claims they find Elvis at some point.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so then we get I guess that conversation lets us know that there has been struggles between them. They're frenemies, right?
Yeah, they're frenemies.
Yeah, they're frenemies.
They're like Cold War spies from opposite ends of the world.
Yeah. And what's the next place they're heading to?
It was the Philippines to Stonehenge.
Stonehenge, right. Okay, so what is going to lead them from the Philippines to so? What's the clue, or um, what do you think can link those two places?
Well, the band Stonehenge has a song called Alexander the Great. This is
Okay,
real.
no, I'm okay with that completely. What when did
It's
that
the
come out?
second track on Scum Brigade,
And when did
which
that
is
come
an
out?
I'm looking at it. Hold on.
You're looking at a song?
I'm looking at the lyrics.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. It's not.
Okay.
I can't find it.
So somehow we find out that this band might have a clue, and they've got nothing else going on.
I think
So
I don't know about that one. That
yeah. Well, you brought that up.
I did bring that up. Um. Hmm.
Because what let's see. Are they looking for something that has to do with Alexander the Great there, or are they looking for something else because they thought they failed on the Alexander one? And then we can come back around
I
to that
think
later.
the initial one with that cross idea was the cold open, where it was
Yeah.
at the end of their previous treasure hunt,
Mm.
and we cut from them wrapping up their treasure hunt to. Well, I guess not.
Yeah,
Looking
I
at
don't
the
think
old
so.
outline, man, I should really do my research.
I
And
agree.
rewatch our old episodes. Um, I mean, we can kind of assign whatever we want to Stonehenge. That's kind of the beauty of using it
Honestly,
as a plot device.
if you wanted to start cutting in the other storyline,
Yeah,
this could be a weird place to do it. Like maybe wherever this black market dealer place is, maybe this is close to Jasmine or Connor somehow, and we just kind of follow Connor for a second. I don't know. Like I think if we hop into the other storyline,
yeah,
then when we cut back to these guys and they're at Stonehenge, we don't need to know
yeah,
exactly why they're there or
yeah,
how they got there. I mean, they're professionals. They know what
yeah.
they know what's up. Um Now I don't really know what we're going to do with Connor and Jasmine. Um Maybe
I'm okay with this being a rom-com between the two of them.
yeah, but I just don't know how we just get to their storyline.
I mean, we I think we do the first like 15 or so minutes with the two treasure hunters.
Mhm.
And we know that they have kind of like this will they won't they join up relationship against the third guy. And then they're just like, well, the skull's fake. So
Maybe
next
they
clue.
have to just maybe they just have to like get a fan boat to get to wherever this black marketplace is. And that's how we just kind of meet, you
Well,
know.
the reason that they eventually go to the fan boat place is because they're looking they have to go to the Fountain of Youth.
Right. But Connor
Which
finds that. Oh, okay.
yeah, Connor
Well,
finds that and interrupts the clue chain.
all right, so we have to know Connor and Jasmine before that then.
Oh,
Oh no. Dylan blacked out. All right. So what I think that we should do is knowing
looking
that
for
we
Ponce Daily.
oh, you
Did
just came back.
I ducked out? Yeah.
Yeah.
My internet pooped.
It's okay. What were you saying?
I think they were looking for Ponce de Leon's skull. Um because the I don't remember what were they initially looking for. Mayan calendar, something about that. They're looking for some sort of Mayan treasure. And that led them down to Florida. Now, I don't know, Ponce de Leon people know where he is.
Yeah.
Like his tomb is in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we don't need to do that.
I think we kind of change up a little bit. We're still using
Yeah.
the same structure, but I think that if we um maybe we somehow allude to us thinking that shadowy third figure is Connor somehow. Like maybe when we cut from the two main treasure hunters, we cut back to the illusion of the shadowy figure kind of looking around in like a jungle, right? And it's like, is this that shadowy figure? But it's actually Connor, and he's
Okay.
geocaching, right? So
Sure.
that way, maybe we're going to kind of trick somewhat of the audience to think like, is this that same guy from earlier, whatever? And then we kind of let people know he's also a geocacher because he finds something very mundane. You know, usually it's like a tiny capsule that when you open it up, it's like either a piece of paper that you unroll to put your name on it, or like just a tiny, like a sticker or like a little something. So we kind of use the same filming technique to make it seem like it's the adventurous shadowy figure. Then he opens up this thing and it's like a rare Sonic the Hedgehog uh something, you know, whatever. And then he runs back and tells Jasmine, and then we just kind of follow them for a little bit, right?
Yeah. No, I like that a lot. I like the misdirect of shadowy cut. We misdirect cut to the shadowy figure in a tropical wilderness, and it's just Connor geocaching. Connor returns to Everglades Airboat Tours
Yeah.
Limited.
And maybe him and
LLC.
Jasmine, maybe him and Jasmine have a really weird conversation about him trying to sell it. So it's still kind of getting along the same lines. And she's like, where are you going to sell that? I know where I'm going to sell it. And you think it's that same black marketplace, but he just goes to eBay. So
Connor found something. Oh yeah, I like that he puts up like weird salt on eBay or something.
Yeah.
And he stumbles onto a ruined fountain, an overgrown ancient fountain, and finds ancient jar of salt. Sure, why not? Jar of salt. Connor returns to Everglade Airboat Tours LLC. There will they, won't they? Connor lists the salt for sale online. And then eventually, when the two treasure hunters go to Florida and realize that the clue has already been taken, they find the listing and they're like, "This is the guy. Well, why don't we just buy it? Because we don't want a paper trail, man." Look, you can look in the background of the picture of the salt. You can see it was taken on a desk that says Everglades Airboat Tours.
Yeah,
that's in town.
Yeah, I'm into that. I think that's funny. All right, so how much, all right, if we're going to break this into a 3-act structure, how much of Act 1 would you say this is roughly covering?
I say the inciting incident. I say this is the first 20 minutes.
Okay, cool.
Not very long.
Yeah. Now, what would you say would be a good Act 1 kind of a finish point?
The two treasure hunters show up at the airboat's place and start chasing Connor.
All right, cool. Yeah, I like that. So let's get them to the airboat place, and he's like, "Show me where you found that salt or whatever."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Look, I just use this geocaching." No. He's like, "I just use this geocaching app." And they're like, "All right." So they get the geocaching app or whatever, and Connor just read the app wrong, and they go to the wrong place. I think that's fine.
Yeah.
If we wanted that.
I think something along those lines work. I think we have them kind of circle each other at first for a little bit. Like they show up at his workplace when he's not there. They show up at his house when he's not there. They show up at some place where he's eating lunch at the same time, and they're like, "Wait a minute,
all right,
that's him."
So, yeah, cool. I'm into all that. So I think what we should do for next episode is I think that we should finish up Act 1 completely, work out who these characters are.
Yeah.
And then kind of figure out where this shadowy figure is going to come back in. Because I think that we have to give that character as much attention and an arc as well. And then if we can mimic that in Connor's arc, then I think that's a really cool way of tricking people. Yeah. So no, I think that's a good place to stop right now. Yeah, so tune in next week where we're going to part 2 this guy and get the rest of Act 1 figured out and try to help out. Honestly, we have a lot of people to thank. We thank a lot of people. A lot of people mean a lot of stuff to us. Red Flanagan, awesome. Thank you very much. Our East Coast friends, Sarah Tkachuk and Tanya Sheck. Also, we have Jeff Dwoskin and Scott Curtis. We got some amazing podcasters over there. Anything that Michael Colby's doing with the Jack Billings guys. But if you want to help us out and really motivate us slightly more and push us to make some more weird stuff, you can always go to our Patreon and help out. You can just chuck us $1 and we would work hard for that. We really would. So go to patreon.com/Some Nobodies if you would like to assist us in our endeavors. We are trying to talk/Twitch our way up to a streaming service because we got original content and we should show you guys what we're trying to do with other people's money and some of your money too. That's fine.
Some of it.
We'll take it.
Whatever you'll give us.
Go check out the stuff that we've done. If you want to see the things we can do before you give us some money, Silicon Angels season 1 is already out. It's doing very well. We already have season 1 of our Talking Upstream. Season 2 is going to start very soon. You can go check out Create Your Own Pod Venture. Honestly, just open up something and type in Some Nobodies.
Yeah.
And we appreciate it. You can find my friend over here on most socials at Vorpal Words, where he writes words, and they can get pretty vorpal, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Dylan, do you have any words of wisdom for our friends out there?
Nah.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you very much for listening / watching or whatever. We love attention and we like your attention. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Until next time, folks. I thought I had a burp coming on.
Oh, save it for next week.
Yeah, it's fine. At least on the camera. All right. I've been Zach. He's been Dylan.
You did it.
And you've been great. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.
Didn't mean to interrupt your intro, or outro. So I'll do it tomorrow.
Thank you.